Hola, so ya tene sashu kawala yo ba yina yo tene so chiru kangala tene tashi dele mambo yo dewo to kibo yo ira yos.
So first of all, Geshe would like to say, whichever place you find yourself in, he would like to wish all of his Dharma friends Tashi Dele. Happy greetings.
Ane ta ngaro so kangalo tene mali apote apo yo ba ngoshipi tone tene ane masel helen do ya chi do an no ne le tene deshi yu ya ga tene kaze tatatan yu ya ga tene deshi ya is.
So then Geshe would like, on the basis of what he shares, for all of us to be able to recognize our precious human rebirth. And on the basis of being able to recognize that precious human rebirth, then in a relaxed way, to be able to cultivate the inner causes of happiness.
Otashi je koyron ju koro kan pegen da manda chi isa da manda ne so mombo chi hares yina yo ta te halebi so chembo je mes de la tene tinne se te ji thong ala tene so no ne le pege se tembo kan dis je gu du ane ki wo ya kan dis so gu du mselele kan dis ndo gu du te yin mi ji tembo so is.
So then, of course, as we are within samsara, as we are within cyclic existence, then we are going to encounter different difficulties and obstacles. So what we have to try to do is try not to kind of inflate those or make them into a big deal. Instead, understanding that this is the nature of samsara, of cyclic existence, we should look within. We should use a inner method to develop a stable mind. Cultivate the inner causes of happiness and cultivate inner relaxed contentment.
Oda so ge semte ani tembo chedo maji lelendo do mando ani shlo ge ngene chini yo mares zode so sepoge temba do hije ya bo su je chetona so la par tende yo ares.
So we also need to understand that in terms of the nature of our mind, whether it is stable or unstable, whether we are able to keep it relaxed or whether it is not relaxed, we have to understand that the outer conditions are not the main cause for what is happening in the mind. What we have to do is turn our attention inward and then work on our mind with mindfulness and introspection, and that will help us develop the relaxed peace.
Oda mzete lele ji do ya bo ji ani rong ba ye ba lele ya bo shwa ji do ya la ta do shira ni ge to ne la ani lele ji do ya tende yo ares.
And so in terms of the happiness that we are seeking for this life, future lives, the happiness that we are seeking for both self and others, in order to be able to achieve that happiness, it's very important to engage with the practices of both method and wisdom.
Oda shiva tomba so ji mari ni mari ja twa mo res tu mo res so ko luba kawa deva yina so jivo deva yina modu nyondo deva yina rile deva yina kawa deva yina yo ta do shirani te peje to ne lele so kiwo ye kiwo jia ga phage le ka chinela lo tho yo res.
So then according to the instructions and the experiences of not just the hundreds but the thousands of holy beings who have been able to cultivate, whatever country we find ourselves in, whatever place we find ourselves in, whether we find ourselves alone, whether we find ourselves with others, whatever type of environment we find ourselves in, if we develop these inner practices of method and wisdom, not only can we bring forth a relaxed mind, the happiness of ourselves, but we will also be able to contribute to the happiness of others.
O tanne se tendi ge peta sa mo bo chi yo ba isa ngene re so me to ne so ga tani dandan ni ro o dan ngene ma go pe ne sa mli ya po te ma che ya po te lele ji ni ro ge so ba chi ro chi.
So then understanding that there are many living examples of how to do this, then we should bring forth our own sort of decision that from now on, I am going to use my human rebirth for something positive, and then we should cultivate in a happy, relaxed way.
Oda tri yo tene nganzo sholo ka chi to ne ma ka se tata ane oda tene sholo ka chi tata ga se tene mare sa lewe ka chembo dandani ka chembo sunji ma to ba da ane oda shewa ne shewa sono to ge inare masele inare
So then, what I will do now is I will share a verse. I will explain a shloka or a verse to all of you. And this is not just some minor verse. This is an extremely precious and important verse. And this is a verse that, if we cultivate it, it is something that will bring us benefit all the way until Buddhahood, all the way until enlightenment, whether we look from the point of view of lifetime to lifetime in the future, or whether we look from the point of view of establishing happiness this very life.
Wata teyon jase chimbo shawala ke shinji chimbo le rwa seche no to jawala suji chinda dawala jala kishe deje to seche la mi jiyu chels.
And so this verse comes from the son of the Conquerors Shantideva's text called the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra, the Bodhisattva's way of life. So I'll read the English. A Buddha's qualities are gained from the sentient beings and conquerors, so that means the Buddhas alike. So why do I not respect them in the same way as I respect the conquerors?
Ta ngaroso ronje sed seyina choroso deshi demoji gogendu has. Ane yo deshi geki ri je ga sonje to sonje sama hale sa chimbo gija chimbo shine o la ka o mo chigendu has.
So, of course, all of us, both self and others, we need to achieve happiness, right? So some people, seeking to achieve this happiness, they put the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas first, and they give them kind of like extraordinary respect and deference, don't they?
Ta ani sonje to sonje sama solo soso ta chimbo sho zenela senje jendo ra ji sono shiro ma to sonje to sonje sama ta chimbo chi chigendu has.
But we can see what our habit is we elevate these Buddhas and these Bodhisattvas. We think that they are so amazing and offer them this great respect. But then we don't pay much attention. We don't pay much deference to all of the sentient beings in the world. So this verse is saying that is actually a grave mistake. That's a mistaken attitude. So why is this a mistaken attitude? Because whatever your object of attainment is, in other words, whatever aim you are trying to achieve, whether it is bringing forth the bodhicitta rooted in love and compassion, whether it is achieving the final state of complete enlightenment, Buddhahood, whether it is even just the perspective of achieving the happiness day to day in this life, all of these things are only possible due to other sentient beings.
토자 야슈 토자 눈에 당한주 관계 토자 야슈데 아니 시 강가 차총아 비세바 말이 빠빠셔도 지바 매바차야 다 던디게 손지자 첨부 대용 손지도 세제님 보대 알레 고셔 자샤나 고셔 자게 나증아질라 되네 토바레마 수지지와 수지지와 또 뭐지발라 될 토야면 돼요.
So, in terms of the very best object of attainment, that is complete enlightenment, where we are able to fully bring forth the positive mental qualities, and through the shining light of that wisdom, completely defeat ignorance and all of the afflictions connected with it. In order to achieve that final object of attainment, if you were to say, is this happening because of the Buddhas, or is this happening because of sentient beings? You could not say one or the other. They are both equally important. The Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, you could say, are 50%, and sentient beings are 50%.
오다 손지세야 다 뭐뭐지게 사바사바 이는 지지라고 말와스 대이자 나로스 맞센 낼 강에 있는데 오 강에 코인요다 강가로로 말이 봐도 뒤 봐줘 니바지와 그런 일 하더니 말이스.
So perhaps some of those of you who may be new to the Dharma, you don't know, but the Buddhas, the holy beings are teaching, they are saying that all of the problems, all of the difficulties that we encounter here within samsara in cyclic existence, this is ultimately arising from ignorance and the imprints or the latencies left behind by ignorance.
어떤 가로서 나서 자체 못해 타마 된다 딜 룰레 그거 알아스 말이 바셔도 집어 좀아서 수나 나도 강가 손지 쳐안도 그때 나도 강가를 니빠데 단다 소소로 알아스.
So we need to understand that ultimately, if we want to achieve this ultimate happiness, this final object of attainment, then what do we need to do? We need to purify both ignorance and the imprints left behind by that ignorance. So ignorance and its imprints. And we also should understand that we do have the potential or capacity to be able to do that.
오다 내서 된지 오다 나주 이네 레와 고시 세 고시니 따나 오다 송제도 전제세 마시고 동바설 세는 이네 기자 제거요나 세제라 기자 제거 지바렌도 와스 오 토자 강가 코로니 셰카셰카라 되는 토한테 지바렌도.
So all of us, if we really think about this and activate our mind around us, then the respect, the deference that we offer to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, we should also offer equal respect, equal care to all of the sentient beings. And why is this the case? Well, because from the point of view of this ultimate object of attainment, which was described, it depends equally upon the Buddhas and sentient beings. 50% based upon the holy beings and 50% on sentient beings. So they are equally important.
어땅이에 내서 던지지 연바라 초로스 던이 시고 동바솔 송지도 던리를 기자 셰바 노지 세절 무슨 가르치게요. 서 자세 첨부 좋아라 깨쇼 하나고 지금서로 봐.
Yeah, so you could say that Shantideva's exhortation here, it's like understanding the importance of the Buddhas and sentient beings for this object of attainment, then why are you offering all of this kind of respect and deference to the Buddhas and the holy beings, but ignoring all sentient beings? And it's almost as if he's kind of like really sort of, you could say, almost upset about this, really, really bringing this point home.
오다 내서 될라데네 대자와 지내는 세제 강가자 제보여 봐. 오다 세제 강가세도 봐서 소소 그녀에 대해 봐줘 세금만 다들 봐줘 세금만 뭐도 던데 세이나 유주 자체보래 소미 소화스 유소나 소소 가디이나 레레 기보셔야지 아래.
So all of us, so we need to understand that when we speak about all sentient beings, this really means all sentient beings. It's not only those people close to you or your friends. It doesn't exclude your enemies. It really is taking into account that achieving this depends upon all sentient beings. And then based upon this awareness, you have this feeling of being really close, being really connected to all of these sentient beings. And if you have this honest feeling of deference and appreciation for sentient beings, then what you'll find is that because of that feeling coming into your mind, you are naturally relaxed, you are naturally happy.
어다 자체 모소노 뭐또 그거만 도와스 누무지 나래 수바지리 나래 뱀보데 뱀보 코로게 대신 용야데 그거 내가 지게 강가를 뛰고요 봐. 그거 내가 지게 또 코로기 보시네 칼라 이네레 가리이나 치용사데 뱀보도 강가도 내와요 봐 하고서나 파치 강가를 기자요 봐. So
let's take an example of thinking about an organization or a company where you have like the head of that company or the boss, and you also have all of the workers. So what you want to do is you want to have a vast vision. So ultimately, people understand that they have to do the assignments and so forth that the boss assigns, and on this basis, they get their wages and they can buy their food and do all the things that they need to do. But also, similarly, not only do they need to do the work for the boss, but they also need to show appreciation and respect for their co-workers by understanding that both the relationships with the boss and the co-workers are important. Then harmoniously they can work together very effectively and then achieve the things they need. So on this basis, if you kind of think like this, you are able to reduce your pride. You are able to bring forth an attitude of respect. You are a cause for happiness of a self and others, and you extend that respect to all beings without exception. So both human, animals, and so forth. So on this basis, understanding that, this connectedness is something that is really true, then on this basis, thinking how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings could be free from suffering. May they be separated from that suffering. They will be separated from that suffering. And one brings forth this powerful compassion into the mind. And on this basis, one becomes more relaxed and happy.
야 되게 멀리 아버 뭐세 아버지 텐디 돈이 쇼마도 이지된비 돈이 다 가지 되던 간소 간가 로토가 지로지.
So thank you very much. Geshe-la's request to you is that all of you, with this precious human rebirth, you infuse your life with these principles of love and compassion, and in this way proceed happily.
야 되게.
So thanks so much. We shall end it there.